It makes you feel like more empowered because you know you got to take care of yourself. Hey y'all, it's your girl Funmi-Layo and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like this video if you haven't already because it helps other people to see the video. Make sure to like this video if you haven't already because it helps other people to see the video, and also make sure to subscribe because we have awesome content on this channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about living alone and just giving you guys some insight on that. So the first thing I would say is obviously, by the way, it's pretty relaxed setting today. You see me, I got the bonnet on the back of my head, but yeah, so fast forward to now. The first thing I would say is that the cost is higher. So with having your own space, you are gonna have to pay everything yourself. And even though the cost is higher though, you know that it's only relying on you, right? So if you're ever in a situation where it's like, oh, you have a roommate and maybe they don't have the money to cover the rent and you didn't budget to be able to cover it if they wouldn't be able to cover it, so at least you just know it's on you, you know. So with that cost of the actual apartment being more, usually also the furniture, you're supposed to furnish the whole thing yourself. So instead of when you're with the roommate, you have somebody to share the furnishing cost with. It's all you, but at least you know you get to keep everything when you leave, so that could be a positive for you. Another thing is that everything is yours, so you don't have to worry about touching somebody else's stuff or somebody else's stuff getting in the way of where you want to put something or anything like that. Or even you don't got to worry about nobody touching your stuff if that's ever a thing, even though obviously with have a roommate, you guys should have ground rules. If you're not okay with them touching your stuff, then where you can let them know hey, don't touch my stuff, that kind of thing, if you don't like to share or whatever. But when you live alone, that's something you don't got to worry about. Another thing is that you can move around as you please, in terms of you can come in and come out of every part of your apartment, because you're the only one that's occupying it. You don't got to worry about being too loud or anything like that, except for your neighbors. Actually, if your apartment, you gotta worry about being loud for them, but just generally being loud within the apartment, you're fine. You can play your music out loud, play whatever you like to listen to, you can play that out loud. So that's a pro of living on your own. And you can also control who comes in and out. So when you have a roommate, you don't have to worry about them having guests that are maybe could be sleeping over or coming in at different times. You're the one who controls who comes in and out of your apartment, so there's that. Another thing is you have to do everything yourself. So if you have a roommate where they handle maintenance requests and you handle if there's any issue with any bills or anything like that, the light bill or electricity bill, who's in charge of what, everything's on you, so you have to do everything yourself. So I feel it's a great opportunity. So if you have a roommate that maybe they handle the electricity bill or the internet bill, making sure that gets paid, and they just make sure to remind you hey, send me the money for this, or they're in charge of maintenance requests or things like that, you have to do everything yourself. Nobody else is gonna do it if you don't do it. So you gotta be on your P's and Q's. So it does help you become more responsible because everything relies on you. So that's something to keep in mind. What's with the cop cars? Is that cop or ambulance? Everything's okay. Another thing is that you get to just enjoy your own solitude. Even though it's cool having a roommate around, just having somebody's presence there, even if you're not talking to them. But even if you're living in an apartment or a condo, it's still people are around. If you're living in a house, it is kind of a little bit more different because you have neighbors, but they're not right connected to your particular unit because you have a bigger space. But in general, just living alone, you can just enjoy just yourself, just your own company. You just have a ball by your lonesome, and just really just relax and just chill with just you. You can be alone, so that's nice. Another thing is safety. So when you're living alone, I do think it makes you bolder in a sense. I would say that one of the reasons that I was concerned about living alone at first was that I was worried that I'd be too scared, but funny enough, I'm not, honestly. And I feel you just get comfortable living alone. You get comfortable and you just realize if I hear anything, It's not like, okay, hide under the covers. You know, it's like, okay, no, if I'm asleep, I gotta go check it out to see like what's going on. You know, obviously there may be the rare occasions where I'm like, I just want to get up, but no, like you hear anything, it's like, wait a minute, you know, ain't no time to be scared. You gotta be prepared. You gotta go see. You know, it makes you feel like more empowered because you know you gotta take care of yourself. So you gotta make sure your safety is intact. But in general though, I feel safe, I feel good. And that's another thing, when you're living alone versus like living with somebody else, you do want to be cautious of like where you're staying, because you want to make sure that you're staying somewhere where you feel safe. You know, you don't want to stay anywhere where it's going to be an issue for you to like sleep well, or you're gonna constantly have to be on guard. And you could say another thing, like living alone, you notice every little noise. But I feel like in general, you just notice every noise. But especially when you live alone, it's like, what's that? What's that? You know, here and there. So, but yeah, it generally feels safe. So that's a good thing. And also, like if you, depending on the size of your apartment too, if it's smaller, that can be more easier to feel comfortable because it doesn't feel like as big and just like, you know what I mean? So yeah, so smaller spaces are super comfy. Another thing is like living alone, you feel more independent. Like it's more of a growth opportunity again, because you're on your own. So you got to make sure that everything is good for yourself. You got to make sure that you're advocating for yourself, whether that's like with your leasing office or with the maintenance stuff. You got to make sure that everything is good, so you're really in charge, you know. So it's cool, it's nice, it's calm. You know, you control the temperature of your whole place, and you know, you set the mood in terms of like the ambiance and like the decor. You make all the decisions. And living alone also makes you more intentional about when you are hanging out with people, because it's like, because you do live alone, you are more intentional, like, okay, well, I'm gonna reach out to so and so, or I'm gonna hang out with so and so, you know, to get, you know, your social time, or to hang out with your friends and everything like that. But you can easily though just spend days just chilling, just alone, like, you know what I mean? Like, and you can, it can be enjoyable, but it's very easy to just be chilling and just like, just get used to just, you know, just staying in for a while alone, especially with the phones too, and just let the phone be your like your social time. You know, whether that's scrolling, or I'm talking mostly like talking on the phone and stuff like that. But you can easily do just like have a time with Netflix and just laying down or just relaxing and everything. But all in all, I do like living alone. I was nervous at first, like I told you guys, but I actually like it. I actually do like it. I like living with the roommate too. Like my previous roommate, I really enjoyed that. You know, as long as you have a good roommate, it's nice. But yeah, no, now that I live alone, I'm like, oh wow, I see why people enjoy it. I see it. I'm like, oh, I get it now. I get it for sure. So it's a cool experience. Definitely something that if you can do it, and you can do it at a place that you feel comfortable, and it's at a price range that you feel comfortable with, definitely something that you can go ahead and do. But it's cool. I'm enjoying it. I like it. And then it makes you more intentional about like, you know, oh, I gotta go out, or not I gotta go out, but like, oh, let me go out to hang out with like more intentional about social time. But you know, like when you come home, you can just be you can just be within your own energy and just relax in that. So it's nice. But let me know, how do you feel about living alone? Do you live alone, or are you just curious to think about whether you want to live on your own? And then also, do you have any like living alone tips and stuff like that? But yeah, yep. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.